a lot of this is superimposed also onto the Kundalini, where there is a lot of New Age nonsense in relation to the Kundalini, and we need to understand the Kundalini to understand the chakras. A lot of people in New Age will make grand statements that, oh, look, my Kundalini is going to explode out of my head, and all of these sort of grand statements, which is all nonsense, when we understand what the Kundalini is. So to understand the Kundalini is basically a dormant energy at the base of our spine, and it is viewed as a feminine aspect of ourselves. In Raja Yoga, the Kundalini is visualized sort of as an energy of spirit, which is coiled up like a serpent. Okay, so Kundalini actually means the coiled up one. That's what Kundalini means. And it's coiled up in the bones of our coccyx, our tailbone. This is where the Kundalini is coiled up. And this is where the dormant energy of the Kundalini is. And this relates to the chakras, as I'll point out. So from this context, when we see the Kundalini as a serpent, the Kundalini is like a cobra which raises its head out of a basket. We've seen all this, where a cobra raises its head. Now this symbol, this analogy, is basically referring to the awakened consciousness. So when the Kundalini has awoken, that just means your consciousness has turned on. You've become more awake and aware. So you've awoken from your spiritual slumber. And according to a lot of Indian philosophies, most of humanity are in a spiritual slumber. We haven't awoken our Kundalini. We haven't come out of that spiritual slumber, and our consciousness has not awakened. So the goal of the Kundalini then is to bring the Kundalini up the central pathway of the spine. Now this central pathway, this axial pathway, is known as the Sushumna pathway, or the Sushumna Nadi. Nadis mean channels or meridians within the body. Now the goal then is to bring the Kundalini from the root down in the tailbone to the crown, which I'll explain in terms of chakras in a minute. And what this does is when you bring the Kundalini up the Sushumna, up to the crown, is where we experience the liberation of the Absolute, where we experience oneness with Brahman, or reunify with Brahman, that liberation in the Absolute.